Kellyanne Conway compared standing in line to vote to standing in line to buy cupcakes because she's a moron. Take a look.
Why are we presuming 5 months beforehand that people predominantly or exclusively are only going to want and be able to vote by mail? People are very proud to show up and go to the polls. They really are. I mean, they wait in line for a Georgetown Cupcake for an hour to get a cupcake. So I think they can probably wait in line to do something as consequential and critical and constitutionally significant as cast their ballot.
So the Trump administration is trying to squash efforts made by states to make it easier for people to vote, especially given this pandemic, to vote by mail, especially if they feel uncomfortable going to the polls and exposing themselves to a lethal virus that has now killed more than 100,000 Americans. They want to disenfranchise voters as much as humanly possible, even though they themselves have taken advantage of mail-in voting. In fact, Kayleigh McEnany, the new White House press secretary, has voted by mail in every Florida election she has participated in since 2010. And that's according to a review done by the Tampa Bay Times. Most recently, she voted by mail in the state's March 2020 presidential primary, just as Trump did after he made Florida his new permanent home. Listen, standing in line to buy cupcakes is not part of our rights. Being able to cast our ballot and be part of our democratic process, take part in democracy, that's a right. And to go out of your way to make it difficult for people to practice that right just gives you a sense of how much these people do not value democracy, number one. But number two, how aware they are of how unpopular their policies are, their ideas are, and how much of a disaster this administration is. Later in the video, she talked about how, Democrats are doing this because they didn't want Biden to be the nominee, and so now they're doing this to make him look good. Well, first of all, how does this make Biden look good? This has nothing to do with Biden. Secondly, if you think that Biden isn't a threat at all, why are you going out of your way to disenfranchise voters and make it incredibly difficult for people to vote, especially, people who might be immunocompromised and are worried about this virus? It's so obvious that they know how unpopular they really are as an administration.
So, first of all, love the analogy she used. It's so wonderfully elitist. I do declare all my friends are waiting an hour at Georgetown Cupcakes for cupcakes. I suppose they could wait for voting, right? Doesn't everybody wait for Georgetown Cupcakes? No, that's, and the folks that are, although that did look delicious. The folks that are waiting in lines need to get to work, and it's usually in heavily Democratic areas. So students, minorities, etc., and they're not waiting for cupcakes. They're waiting for their constitutional rights. So now let's do an appropriate analogy. So Republicans love to scream about freedom of speech. I wish they believed that. They don't, of course, and we've gone over that many times. But if you said to them, hey, before you get to make any political comment, whether it's on Twitter, any social media, or just a comment against the government, right? You're going to have to wait on a 2-hour line, and you get one sentence. And then you got to go back to the line, and you got to wait another 2 hours to say another sentence, and then another. You said, well, that's outrageous. You're limiting my rights. That's exactly right. And that's what they do with voting. Now, why do they do? And everybody in America accepts it because the media sucks in this country. Like, it's time to vote, so everybody has to wait on long lines. No, wait a minute. We don't have to wait on long lines. We could double the number of voting machines. You know how much that would cost? Almost nothing. We just gave away $9 trillion. It'd be 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of that, right? And that probably was not enough 1% in there. So we could just increase the number of voting machines. We could make it a national holiday. We could do it on a Saturday, and people wouldn't have to wait online. The reason they wait online is because the Republicans for decades have purposely made it so that it is harder to vote, because they know if more people vote, Democrats are more likely to win because people agree with Democrats more. So, and even Trump, in his infinite stupidity, admitted that. He said, well, if everybody voted, the Republicans would never win another election. So this is part of their concerted strategy to limit your constitutional rights while pretending to care about the Constitution. As usual, hypocrites, as usual, liars. And so Kellyanne Conway, as usual, 100% wrong, and she knows it. So her job is she's paid to lie, and so that's what she does, and then she goes and gets a cupcake.
And I think that's what we should do right now. Get a cupcake. Just cupcake that pain away. Anyway.
If you've noticed, or if, but I've been trying to do that for quite some time now. How do you think I got this way? But in my case, I was going to say Nutty Bars because that's the old name, but these days it's even a funnier name, Nutty Buddy.
I've been craving sugar more than I've ever craved in my life, and I'm sure it's stress related. And you know what? That's okay.
TYT.com/go.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.